we are. It is Black Friday and we are in Badwater Basin. Doesn't look how it normally does. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It really is. Last time there was this much water in here was 05 and it wasn't even close. Had no intention of coming out here this week. I wanted to spend a 4-day weekend with my family, but come on. When this happens, you gotta come out here. So we are under a nearly full moon. I have no lights on right now. This is just a near full moon. It's really incredible. And that full moon is going to be coming down below those mountains in just a couple of hours. It is 1:30 a.m. and we are going to have 1 hour from about 4:15 a.m. to about 5:15 a.m. to shoot the beautiful winter Milky Way right here in all of its glory. This really reminds me of that scene in Inception where they're on that other planet, whatever, every minute equals like 7 years or something crazy like that. And you could see a big mountain in the background.
Those aren't mountains, they're waves.
And I don't know if this is gonna act like a real lake and have some high tide, low tide with the moon or whatever's going on. It seems like it's actually coming up on me right now, but it's really incredible. I have no idea how deep it is, but look at the shimmer, look at the moon shimmering in this lake. There are some stars out here. Right now, Orion is over there. It's going to shift down and over here. Right now it's kind of in the southeast. It's gonna be on the south. And when the moon goes down, it's gonna be a heck of a lot more visible. So, Badwater Basin, covered in water. Let's see what we can do. All right, so I don't have my audio on. At this point, I was scrambling to get everything set up. So I didn't have my microphone on, and as you can hear, it was extremely windy. I had just crushed my third rock star of the night. I was fully torqued, 4:30 in the morning, and the moon was setting right over the mountains just as expected. Unfortunately, the small window of time between moonset and sunrise passed before I can get all the shots I needed for my stacked panorama. I was able to find a few exposures where the wind died down long enough for the reflections to appear in the salt water, and this is my favorite shot of the night. I gotta say, I really like how this came out. Now, this is a single exposure, which is very rare for these astrophotography shots, at least mine. The wind did die down at moments for long enough for a few of these 15-second exposures to really capture those reflections when the water was still enough. So in this one, you can really see Orion down there in the salt water, of course, as well as in the sky. And because there's not much of a foreground element, I was able to capture this whole thing in focus in one single exposure, which again is very rare. It's impossible unless it is a setup like this. Other than that, I mean, this is not the best winter Milky Way exposure here. I wasn't able to get the tracker out, so you really can't see too much of the nebula. The Orion nebula is there. It's pretty faint. Bernard's Loop is there. M42. A couple of them are showing up, but they'd be much more prominent if I did have the time and the conditions for the tracker to really have been used. But really, I don't think it matters here. I mean, I got what I came for. We have Badwater Basin completely flooded. We have beautiful water reflections. We have the most prominent stars on full display. And I think, actually, I like the fact that there's a lot of what looks like light pollution, but really is just a mix between the moon setting and the sun rising along the horizon. I really didn't have much time between the two. I thought I would have about an hour. I really had about 35-40 minutes. And for me to get this shot in these conditions, I'm pretty happy with this one. With the obnoxious amount of caffeine I had ingested now leaving my system, I fought the cold, the crash, and the crowds to shoot the sunrise. Now, for whatever reason, this beautiful scene wasn't translating to my photos. So I decided to simplify things and I shot this. This is something different for me and I like the way it came out. With the wind creating so many ripples in the water, I decided to cut down my depth of field to throw the top half of the frame out of focus. I feel like this really brought out the beautiful reflection of the warm first light hitting the mountains. I really love the textures of the salt in this image as well. If I didn't know any better, I'd think this was an icy lake in the mountains, not a salty flood 282 feet below sea level. Now, I also love the colors in this image. The transition from icy cold whites and blues to the deep warm orange in the mountains is a great contrast in my opinion. This trip to Badwater Basin was completely spontaneous. I have to mention Clanger McBanger. He was nice enough to respond to my DM to tell me that the basin was still flooded after I watched his amazing story on Instagram. Now, if you aren't following him, you need to be. His work is incredible and inspiring. Anyways, that's all I got for this one. Please like the video on the way out. It really helps the channel a lot. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.